you were still here today. Our lives reflect the song you sang. Wish you could stay.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Counterparts. My name is John Henry Soto, and I'm here with George Batista once again, and very excited. That was the Doc Watson, with his new track. We're going to be talking a lot about that. We're actually waiting for him to come in, and here he is. The Doc is in the house. Let me just bring him up. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Counterparts, David Doc Watson. Sir.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
All right.
Right.
Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You're just every time I hear you play, every time I hear your stories, every time it's just it's exactly that. That's exactly the move I do. You know, I'm like, yeah, the Doc. So thank you for being here. How you doing?
Good. I was trying to hook you up on my iPad and it didn't seem like it wanted to work.
No. But you made it right on time. We just showed that amazing clip that you sent me.
Cool.
And I definitely want to dive into that. We want
Okay.
to talk. Yeah, we want to talk about that. I know George has a couple of questions. I don't know if have you ever met George?
I've never met the man, but first of all, I
No.
want to say that clip was amazing. That music is fantastic.
Thank you so
definitely
much.
enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more from you, and I want to learn a lot about you, man, because I've heard so much about you and some of your stories. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Cool, awesome. So, George, give us some questions.
All right. Well, I mean, so for myself and maybe some folks who are not, not familiar, can you just talk about a little bit how everything started for you as far as the your background and I know you through college and starting out as a musician.
How far back do you want?
I personally love all the Sugar Hill stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to me is always the best.
Well, I got a bunch of stories.
I know.
About a lot of stuff. John, did I tell you the story when I went out to get a fish sandwich and a couple of fries at a
No.
Sugar Hill Gang session?
No, I don't think I heard this one.
Okay, so that's going to be the first story. But before we get to stories, let's talk a little bit about the clip that you showed. Which one was it?
It was the one you sent me, the longer one. It was I'll play like 10 seconds of it.
Oh no. I just needed to know.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. That is my very first solo project that I'm working on. And John, you with all the stuff that you do with guitar and all, you kind of get it. How difficult it is to find the nerve, I'm going to say,
right,
to put out something on your own because you're exposed.
That's it. Yeah.
And I've always been a section guy. I worked in Chops Horns for 30 plus years, and I got the tattoo to prove it, which I'll show you later.
Yeah. Nice.
But, I had the comfort of numbers.
Right.
But I got to the point and I said, I'm getting to the age where my dad used to always say, you can only do what you do. So I have a musician's ear, and when I listen at myself, I compare myself to the other musicians. Excuse me. And I personally feel that there's a lot of sax and flute players out there that would chew me up and spit me out. But the longer I've lived, I've realized that there's more to music than music.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
There's more to music than music.
Yeah.
You got to have personality. Man, no kidding. I was doing a gig. This is a true story. Don't worry, I'm going to give you the Sugar Hill one. But I was doing a gig in a horn section for the Temptations. And we were in Atlantic City. And the alto player sitting next to me, man, this dude was nasty all over the horn stuff. So he gave me his record. He had a record. Okay. I looked at the cover and he looked like an accountant that was on his way to lunch. I said, what the fuck? What the mess? So took the record home, put it on. The album was great. But his whole presentation wasn't happening, Right. Now, I sent you, I think, a picture of me sitting in a chair with all my horns, right? Now, the reason I did that was because, there you go. My first single, I thought should represent me because I have so much going on.
Right.
My other songs, I will bring in my other guys because regardless of what people say, don't believe it. I'm not a diva. No, I'm not a diva.
So the articles were not true?
Wait a minute. Can we beam this guy up? Because he's giving me a hard time already. I have on my next song, I got a killing trumpet solo, Freddie Hendrix. Terrible. I mean, he's just a nasty jazz guy. If you Google him, you'll see. He's been in chops for many years. He's playing some solos. Daryl Dixon, my partner in crime for 30 plus years, he's going to be playing some. A lot of guys are going to play on my stuff, but I figured the first single should be me. And if you notice, I'm sitting in a chair with all the horns around me. And if you notice in the beginning of the video, I'm playing all the horn parts.
Yeah.
Except for the trumpet, because I don't mess with brass. I mean, brass kick ass, trust me. But I'm not a brass guy. And I brought in Joe Romano, who's been a member of Chops for 20 plus years. So it was just he and I, two horn players. We did the whole session. In the beginning, you see the keyboard's hands and the bass player. You see very little of them. The keyboard player wrote the rhythm track. The bass player got his track, wiped it down, just kept his keyboard, because Skip Adams is the guy that wrote it. And he had maybe 7 or 8 different keyboards, 2 basses, 3 guitars. He's one of these guys that's got a fertile brain, and he just puts everything on his tracks. Now, the bass player, Hubert Eves the Fourth, he plays bass and drums, and he's a simplistic kind of guy. So he took all of that stuff off and just had the piano. He re-recorded the bass, drums, and he put his own fake guitar on there. And when I heard it, I was like, man, that kind of sounds like something Marvin Gaye would do. I had already cut the horns for Skip, 2 years ago, and the song was going to be entitled "It's a Brand New Day." So not only did I change the song, but I also, changed the name of the song because it's a tribute to Marvin. I figured Marvin Gaye, Marvin Stay. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's still all about marketing and all about little things to catch people's ears.
That's right.
So that's kind of how that happened. I shot the beginning of the video was in my old home in Bayonne. Then we used Hudson County Park, and then we used Broadway. So I used 3 areas, a couple costume changes, and Shamad, who did my video, he brought in a drone on some shots.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's kind of slick. Now, this cat Nico, which you didn't hear, is a friend of mine that I worked in a wedding band with, and he's a rapper. And he's an Italian cat, and on the gig, we used to do a Sugar Hill Gang song. And he would go out in the audience and what do they call it? Freelance or just
freestyle.
Freestyle, that's the word. He would just freestyle. He would talk about girls' dresses, the tie a guy had on. I mean, he would just make it up on the spot. And I was like, man, this guy's amazing. Imagine what he could do if I gave him a hook. So that's what I did. I gave him the hook, Marvin Stay, told him it was about Marvin Gaye, tribute to Marvin Gaye. So he put a rap on it. Now, me wanting to be a smooth jazz player, my smooth jazz people said, Dave, they're not going to play it with that rap on there. So I'm going to have 2 versions, John. I'm going to have the smooth jazz version, and I'm going to have the college station other folks' version.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Rap on.
Nice.
Yeah. Again, that's actually part of the marketing. You know, I mean, you're thinking that way because you got to hit it from all angles. You know what I mean? I wanted to ask you because, you know, marketing was probably different back in the days compared to what it is now. It seems like it's more like the artist has to take more responsibility themselves now, where in the old days you sign a deal and somebody just kind of does whatever they do in behind the scenes.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a better way of doing it, that the artist has to now have this other part of them?
It depends. It depends on who you ask, and it depends on the experience you've had with record labels.
Yeah, that's true.
I know Alicia Keys, when she first got out there, they didn't want to put out her music. They wanted to mold her into somebody else. Patrice Rushen, prolific keyboard player, singer, and songwriter. Record label wanted to do that to her. They wanted to change girlfriend up. I had a deal with Atlantic, with Chops Horns. And because we didn't come through the R&B department, we got discovered by Jason Flom, who's a heavy metal guy who signed Twisted Sister.
Okay.
What was he doing at our showcase?
Yeah. I don't know.
Me either. I think he might have had some bad weed or something and walked in the wrong door.
He was twisted.
Yeah, boom. Thank you, John. But what really happened, he heard Geffen Records was coming in from LA to hear us, so he was curious.
Oh, okay.
Geffen Records hated us. He loved us. All right. We signed the deal. We go in the studio. We finish the record. Then this young, had to be 21 or 22 at the time, with all the long hair. This young punk rock guy or heavy metal dude walks into the R&B department and puts the record on their desk and said, this is, an artist that I signed, but it's R&B. So they put the record on, and these guys are saying, holy Hannah, this is better than some of the stuff that we found.
Wow.
So you know what's going to happen. The president or vice president is going to pull the R&B department into their office and say, yo, how come this young white boy is finding me better black music than you?
Right.
So the fix was in, my friends.
Heads are going to roll.
Yeah, man. They said, we got to squash this record. Because, so this is when I learned about the marketing game. And I know you guys know this, but I'm going to repeat it for some of our listeners. Basically, what happens is when you get your deal, they give you a certain amount of promotion money. And the way that works is they send your record to certain radio stations in certain states. Then they send your finished product into the record stores in the area that these radio stations are heard. Okay? All right. You with me so far, John?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm right there.
Okay.
I'm right there.
All right. So these R&B dudes sent our stuff out, and they have to give you what they call a tracking list that shows you the radio station.
Right.
So, because I had talked with the police, I had friends all over. So I'm calling people up and calling them because we didn't do a lot of emailing back then. So I'm saying, man, I'm on WQUZ in your town. It said QUZ. I said, man, don't nobody listen to that. You need to be on WCBS. I said, what? So everybody I called told me the same thing.
Oh.
So these jokers, they did send out records to the radio stations, but they sent them to ones that nobody was listening to. Why? Because when they tracked the record, they'd be able to go back to the bigwigs and say, look, it's not tracking. Nobody's buying this. We know good R&B, not that white boy. See what I mean?
Defending themselves, yeah.
Yes.
Saving their own asses.
Right. But it took us 6 years, and we spent so much money of our own to get to the record label. So the next album coming out was Phil Collins, all right?
Right.
So you got a 2-week window. If stuff don't happen, they throw you out because they get ready to push Phil, who was a big artist at the time.
Right.
So we begged, borrowed, and stole, I kid you not, $5,000. And we went to an independent radio people, independent promoter, excuse me. He hit the right radio stations. 2 weeks later, we got a tracking back with 61 with a bullet, okay, on Billboard.
Wow.
Here we go. Yeah.
Nice.
We go back to the record label. Hey, look, we're 61 with a bullet. The guy said, Chops. He said, man, we shelved that record already. Phil Collins comes out tomorrow. I was like, so what happens? They said, we use it as a write-off.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Them jokers spent over $100,000. But $100,000 compared, they had Aretha, Phil, come on, Atlantic Records.
Atlantic, yeah.
They had a bunch of artists, and they had many divisions. They had their jazz division, R&B, punk rock, heavy metal. They were making money hand over foot. But to sign us and to write us off was a good thing for two people. Those jerks in R&B department to save face, and for the company in general, so they had substantial amount of money that they could write off.
Right. So
if you're asking me about record labels, did you get your answer?
Yeah. I think we all got our answer. I think we probably all also had that same viewpoint on it anyway. Just because it seems like we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, where record companies don't have really A&R guys anymore. Nobody goes out to find artists and to actually nurture them and to bring them up again. That just doesn't happen anymore. They go to TikTok and see who's trending on TikTok.
Exactly.
And that's who they go sign, which is a travesty because there's so many great artists out there that are not being heard.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So, George, you have a question? I know you wanted to.
No, I mean, it's just I'm blown away by the stories.
I know.
And I hope you got some drummer stories for me.
I do.
Nice. I'm just curious about, now, doing your own record. I mean, it must be really freeing now when you're doing, because I can imagine you all those years working in those sections and working for all these artists, but then all of a sudden now coming out with your own record, it's got to be a completely freeing thing for you, right?
Freeing, yes. But George, there's a major learning curve.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because Luckily for me, from the Sugar Hill Gang days, there was a trumpet player we used from Virginia after we got established when we wanted to have 5 horns. Because our normal setup was trumpet, tenor, alto, trombone. But on some of the bigger sessions, we wanted to use 2 trumpets. So we brought in Bill, we brought in Sly, we brought in Gerald Shavers, we brought in different cats to fill that seat. And Bill McGee was one of the guys we used. Our trumpet player was Marvin Daniels, and he had went to school with Bill. They were good friends. So Bill did all the Sugar Hill Gang. Now, he's a guy from Virginia, coming to the city to record for Sugar Hill and Grandmaster, and we wound up doing some Philly International. He was like, he went, you know, he felt like Cinderella. He didn't look anything like her, but he was just one happy dude, you know? So all of that happened, and we went back to 4 horns, and we started using different people. And Bill was an excellent flugelhorn player, so he went into the smooth jazz market. He's been in that market for 20 years. When I called him and told him what I was going to do, he decided to help me. And any of the major names that I looked up for promoters and different stuff, Bill knew about them. So he's putting together a template for me. But George, it's still a lot of stuff I got to learn. And then after I learn it all, then I have to do one of the things that I like to do, which is talk.
Right.
You couldn't pick that up, could you?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to talk to the different people from the record company, from the radio stations, and you know, you got to have this whole spiel about what you're doing. But luckily, as they say in the business, I have a lot of ink because of all of the people I've worked for and all this stuff.
Right.
I mean, when you read my resume, not to be funny, but it's kind of unbelievable. Folks be looking at that shit saying, nah, he didn't do all that. And I can't blame him because it does look kind of crazy. So I'm going to draw on that. That's why the name of the project is going to be called Tip My Hat. And I'll be tipping my hat to artists that I love and artists that I've worked with. And people that have influenced me. And I've got a fine model. You know, I had to go do the GQ on you. Fine. I got this beautiful girl to come do the photo shoot. Because don't nobody want to look at my old ass. They want to see down. They want to see one of those. So the tip my hat part, when the whole, it's going to be an EPK 5 songs.
Nice.
As we go through songs, when I go to put the whole EPK out, that's when Girlfriend is going to show up. Wow. And man, I should have sent you at least one picture with her.
So now we're all in suspense now.
Yeah.
Damn, I wonder if I could do it while I'm on the phone now. Because I'll try.
We want that suspense. We want people to be like, oh man, I gotta check out.
Yeah. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Gorgeous. And she wasn't a hat wearer, but I gave her a couple of my hats, and she was feeling it. Yeah. And after a while, she started, you know, it gave her a persona, because, persona, whichever way you want to say it, in French or English. No. Right. You know, she got into the vibe. Yeah. So that, and tipping my hat, because, you know, I got my bedroom has nails in the wall with hats all over it. And if you look in that first video, in my foyer in Bayonne, it wasn't in my closet. It was in my hallway. I had maybe 25 hats on nails.
Well, I remember one of the gigs I saw you in. I can't remember where it was, but you had like these beautiful boxes that had the actual hats in them. Like he had
Oh,
luggage.
yeah.
He had luggage for the hats.
Yeah, my hat box. There's a company called Bellissimo. They make
Yeah,
hats.
it was like luggage for hats. I was like, man, this guy is serious about the hats.
Dude,
It was awesome.
Bellissimo's hats are so expensive, I could only afford the box.
Right.
And I be carrying all other hats in there. Like, yeah, I got my hat. Yeah, I finally
right.
did buy one,
Yeah.
but you know,
That's awesome.
$350 is a bit much for a hat.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
Wow.
and that's one. Some of them are more, but I did
Yeah.
buy one so I could say, hey, and so that's the hat story. Okay, now I'm gonna tie in. If you don't have any other questions, I'm going to tie in a Sugar Hill and a drum story at the same time.
All right.
Nice.
So we got questions, but we'd rather hear your
I want to
stories.
hear your stories, man. Yeah.
Okay. We're cutting for Sugar Hill, and Daryl Dixon, the alto player, is dear friends with Dennis Chambers.
Oh, wow.
Okay? They were just good friends. And he talked Sugar Hill into bringing Dennis in to do a couple of the sessions. Now, and Dennis did some stuff on our first record as well.
Oh, okay.
But the thing you got to know about Dennis when it comes to funk and stuff, and, you know, we all know he's got tons of chops.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when he comes to the gig, he plays the gig. You know, we were doing a funk tune, or original chops tune, and I'm like, Dennis, where's all of the flair? He said, no, we don't need no flair on this. It's a straight up song. And I don't know how he got his timing so good, but you could put a metronome on in this cat.
Yeah.
What? So I kept bugging him. Dennis, you got to play something. He said, okay, an intro. He did one of these. Then he went back to the funk. And that's the only part of the record that he got flashy.
Wow.
And it was only for 3 beats. All right. So we're at Sugar Hill doing a session, and me and the trombone player, we're going to the store for a fish sandwich and a couple of fries.
Nice.
All right. So we get in my Scamp. I had a Scamp at the time. So you know how long ago that was. So we're on our way to the store. Lo and behold, I rushed in the car and didn't close my door all the way. Did not realize that until I turned. I turned onto the block where the store was. My door flew open and I went out the door.
Oh, no.
I'm holding on to the steering wheel, and you know the hump in your car between your two seats? That's where my feet were.
Oh.
Okay?
Holding yourself.
Holding myself. I couldn't get to the brakes or anything like that. So as the car is going, I'm holding and I'm looking. We're drifting towards parked cars.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
no.
So what that means is,
The door's going to hit.
yes, the door opened this way, right? The door's going to hit, and then the door's going to crush me.
Right. Right.
So I had a choice. Do I let go and fall out? And all I could do was, the trombone player doesn't drive. I said, Booney, turn the wheel. So Booney starts turning the wheel. We drift away from the car, right? But he turns it too much. And now we're going towards the curb on the other side of the street. And there was a little park there.
Oh, wow.
But I'm only going like 14 miles an hour. You know, I'm not going fast. So we hit the curve, we popped the curve, and we hit this little wooden box. This little wooden box happened to be the electrical box for the electricity across the street.
Oh, no.
We hit the box goes flying, but at the bottom of the box, there was a bar. So my car came this way and got caught on that bar, so I couldn't back up. Because you know a brother was going to get out of there.
You're going to be out.
Yeah.
So I couldn't move my car. So I look across the street, and every store, the lights are out. And this one guy, he's a barber, cutting the guy's hair. He came outside, the dude with the bib on. He gets out of the chair. And everybody's walking outside. And I'm saying, oh, holy Hannah. So
these damn jazz musicians, man.
Oh, we were funk guys. Come
Lights
on,
out.
Sugar
That's right,
Hill.
we
We
were
was
funk.
hipping and a hopping.
Funk guys.
So Booney is in tears once he realized nobody was hurt.
Right.
And so the cops come, we lift the car off the box. They couldn't give me a ticket for reckless driving because, you know, it was an accident. So what they did was they took my information and they said, look, we're going to give your information to the electrical company, and whatever it costs to fix this, you're going to have to pay for it. Okay. So we get our fish sandwich and a couple of fries.
You still went for that.
Still got the sandwich.
That must be really good fish, man.
Man, I was hungry, bro. So we're driving back to the studio and I'm looking at Boney and he can't keep a straight face. I said, Boney, you can't tell this story. Boney, come on now. You got to help a brother out. He never said yes or no. He just kept laughing. We get to the studio. The first person standing outside was Dennis.
Oh, no.
So he tells Dennis the whole story. So now Dennis and him go into the studio laughing hysterically, and they start saying, yo, y'all got to see what Doc did, you know? So everybody knew the story. Every time for the next, and this is no lie, for the next 5 to 7 years, I saw Dennis. I'd go see him at the Blue Note or when he was out with Santana.
Right.
Yeah.
He would bring that fucking story up. He said, yeah, remember? I said, Dennis, you better be quiet because he likes to smoke cigars on the slide, but his wife hates it. So I said, Dennis, you keep teasing me. I'm going to tell your wife about those cigars. That's the only way I could quiet down. But I've never met a more humble guy with so much chops.
Yeah.
I went to see him at the Uridium and he broke his sneer head, right? That Negro played with one hand and his feet, unscrewed the drum head, took it off, went in his bag, got another head, put it on, screwed that shit back on, and started hitting it. Pop, 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 till he got it to where it should be, right? Now, if you were not watching this,
you wouldn't believe it.
You would have never realized.
Oh, you never, right, that it was that nothing happened. Yeah.
His playing so good with 2 feet and one hand. Last Dennis story. We finished the Chops record and we do some gigs in North Carolina and Virginia. And we play this club that has 3 rooms that are connected in the middle. But there were different bands in each room, right? So we had our little funk crowd. You had a country and western crowd, and you had a rock band crowd. Now, technically, you couldn't really hear the other music too good. You could hear it a little bit, all right? We get to the part where Dennis has a solo. Dennis cleared out those other 2 rooms.
They all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our room was packed. People were like this during his solo.
Just to see the solo.
Yeah, that's the sad part, John. After the solo, the crowd went back to the wherever they were.
You're like, no.
Yeah, wait a minute. Wait. Hear this horn stuff. Wait. I was like, man, later for that.
Damn.
We want to hit that drummer. So that just shows you, you know.
We had a little bit of experience with that. We've shown Dennis numerous times, I think, at the Bottom Line.
Yeah, we saw him at the Bottom Line with I think it was John McLaughlin. When we left that gig, we were like, we felt sick. It was so
we were actually like physically ill from how much tension and how much music that we were absorbing, and And he did something like that once where he was I think you, Jordan and I were like, what? He's playing, he's this all this crazy going on. He stops for a second, it's still going. We're still hearing
one hand.
he grabs a towel, he kind of just dries his face, he takes a drink,
Yeah.
it's still going. We're like, what the hell?
Incredible.
Yeah, he was
Now,
yeah.
John Schofield, he was the first fusion cat that brought Dennis on from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So years later, Sting calls Dennis.
Wow.
And John called them the same day, I think, or it was real close. He told me and Daryl this story, right? So he says Sting's, and you know how big he is. John's big, but come on.
Yes, Sting. Yeah.
So he turned Sting down. He said, "No, I'm sorry. You know, I'm going out with John." He said, "What? John McLaughlin? I mean, you know, John Schofield? What?
Yeah.
You gonna go out with him and not me?" And he told him, he said, "John was the first guy that kind of turned me on to the business."
Right.
Yeah, he's loyal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sting understood.
Of course.
Because he's got some loyalty things. When we were on the Ghost in the Machine tour, we played somewhere in the Midwest and they got snowed out.
Yeah.
You know, the concert was a flop. You know, blizzard. And Sting, I heard him on the plane. I heard him with my own mouth tell the manager to give the guy half of his money back.
Wow.
Because they were paid already.
They were paid
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
When you were out with the police, did you experience any of that that crazy tension that those guys had, or anything, or was it just a smooth thing for you?
Well, the tension was kind of starting.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first gig we did with them was in Philadelphia, and we're sound checking. And there's this one particular song where they wanted to work it out that everybody was hitting together, right? So Stewart says to Sting, he says, "Man, I can't see you. You know, you're not singing, you're only playing bass. Right. So could you walk away from the microphone and come into a spot so I can see you?" Sting said, "Man, move one of those cymbals." He said, "Move a cymbal so you can see me." He said, "You want me to mess up my rig when all you got to do is take a few steps one way?" Now we're looking at each other. This is the first gig.
Right.
We're looking at each other like, holy hell.
It'll be a long tour.
But we also said, for the money these jokers are paying us.
Hey, that's it, man. Just do it.
And I was 24 years old. I had never toured.
Wow.
And for that, I had never done a big tour. We did do Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Okay. And that was a bus tour. And I slept by a broken window where I used to have to put my clothes bag up to keep from.
Wow.
That's roughing it out.
Oh, man. Talk about chitlin circuit. Wasn't even no chitlins. It was just a circuit, and it wasn't spelled circuit. So,
right.
So this is my first major tour. And the other thing was the music, guys. These are three prolific players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They never did the same shit twice every night. Like with Alicia and other tours we've done, you know, you do a 2 to 3 month rehearsal period. You work out the show somewhere, like the Police did that. They worked out the show in Germany. And then we took it around the world. But they would do something different every night in a different song. And what we would do was step away from the microphones. And when they went off into their little tangent, we would make up some parts.
Oh, okay.
On the spot. Because, you know, we all had good ears, and that's what we did. We read music, but at that time, we were doing more head arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
So we come to the mic playing some whole stuff they never heard. Once we did that, they'd go even somewhere further because they were feeding off of what we were doing. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
dude.
Wow.
And Andy Summers,
Yeah.
nobody at the time was playing those colors like him.
Right.
Yeah, he's a monster. I don't think people even realize how prolific he is as a chord arranger. Like his chord structures are very unique. They're like keyboards.
Yes. And he had this stuff where they all had pedals. He would hit a pedal, he would hit a chord, and he did a pedal like a sustain pedal. And that chord would ring, and then he'd play two other chords after it, and then do a rhythm thing over that. And it sounded like three dudes.
Right.
Wow.
Then we got Stewart that had a delay on his bass drum. Boom, 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 boom. And he knew where that delay was.
Yeah.
So he could double up and do things where it sounded like he had two pedals.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Now, Dennis could do that shit without delay.
That's
One,
true.
yeah.
That's true. Very true.
He got
One leg.
But Stewart used it in a way. And another thing people don't know about Stewart was he never had a drum lesson. So all of those crashes, awkward sounding fills that he did was just him.
Just him, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks started copying that style.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, imagine having people copy you like that, like you originate something. And Andy too. And you got to give Sting his credit because he wrote all the songs, and that dude gave up 30% of his songwriting royalties
From the
to give to the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But I
Right
think
stuff. He didn't have to do that. If
No.
that was Madonna, they wouldn't have got jack.
True, but I also have to think that Sting understands, and I've seen interviews with Sting. I don't know Sting, obviously, but I've seen interviews where it seems like he understands that the guys that are around him really make what he's doing so much better. And those songs, the Police songs, who sounds like the Police? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody sounds like those guys. And it was because it was those particular three guys. I think, he probably wouldn't have done it. Madonna can't do it because I don't think Madonna has her own, she created a pop kind of a
thing. But still, she's cold-blooded, I know from experience because her first hit, Holiday, boom, 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 that was written by a group called Pure Energy from East Orange.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
Their lead singer girl, Lisa, took her in the studio and showed her how to sing the song, okay?
Oh, man,
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Now, they got paid. They wound up building a studio. They, they used that money wisely. That was one of the last songs she did a video on because she didn't have the rights. And when the next album came out, she didn't give them a shot. Wouldn't take any of their material.
Really?
Now she's this huge superstar, so she can get material from anybody. That was wrong. She should have taken one of their songs. Now, in retrospect, look at the Police. They got a reggae influence, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
You guys know, George, where it came from? I'm here, John, I'm putting you under the gun too.
I would just say Bob Marley.
Good guess, but no. Black Uhuru. That's who they used to listen to.
Ah.
And that's where they got their vibe.
Yeah.
Now, only reason I know this is because I was in the band.
Right.
And what they did was when they got to the States, they brought Black Uhuru to the States for their very first time to open for them.
Oh, wow.
That was their payback.
Right.
Amazing.
And Black Uhuru, because of that, blew up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you think Madonna would have brought Pure Energy
That's true.
to open for her? Hells no. So
this is interesting though, because could it be because there's like an English understanding like, you know, you look at the Stones and you look at Zeppelin and you look at all the Beatles, they really revere our Southern artists, you know, the blues artists and all that. And they really, they showcase them, you
Yep.
know, quite honestly, you know, I mean, the Rolling Stones are a blues band, really. I
Right.
mean, they're not really a
Mhm.
rock band. They're a blues band
Right.
that does a little rock, you know. But they do actually do that. So I don't know, maybe that's something to do with the, you know, the doggy dog world of America and the love and the, you know, honor of play that kind of music when you're overseas.
Well, I got to tell you, we did a record last year, which we're going to re-release. We're really 2 years ago, but we're going to re-release it. Chops and Soul.
Hmm.
And the leader singer was Joe Parisian from Canada. And we nicknamed him Soul Joe, right? So that's where the Chops and Soul came from. Everybody called him Soul because he's the funkiest singing white boy you ever met.
Nice.
Now, he had mad respect for us. It's because he came from Canada. People from other countries, they listen to what we do, and it's a whole nother thing. Even with the police, they specifically told the cats, we want a black horn section. We want that James Brown vibe. We want
Right.
And the guy that introduced us to them, he had white horn players that tried to get the gig. So that's not what they wanted. So, you know, and I agree with you, John. But I don't think it's just England. I think
it's over anywhere else.
anywhere else.
Anywhere else, yeah.
Let me ask you. I'm just curious. Well, what was the most challenging gig you ever did?
The most challenging.
Well, you just talked about being on a bus with no window.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about musically on actually, you know, on a tour or something, or even in a session where it was like so challenging. It was, you know.
Well, you're gonna laugh when I tell you this. My high school put together an alumni band, and some of the guys that picked some of the songs, man, let me tell you, they said, "Oh, don't worry, Doc, you'll be okay." I said, "Yeah, okay." I said, "Well, you know, just send me some of the stuff. Let me see it." 2 weeks beforehand, they sent me 3 songs. I practiced those songs 30 minutes a day, every day until the concert time. Just to be, because it kind of featured me in some spots.
Yeah.
Just to be able to keep up. And I wasn't getting paid.
Wow.
So that was one of the most challenging things I have to say I've done. Now, the police gig was the easiest gig I ever did.
Really?
And it was the financially, it was the better paying gig.
Oh, yeah.
So in general, and John, I think you'll vouch for this, usually the less you make, the harder the gig. The more you make, you know, I mean, I just did a birthday party for a guy, you know, because I do weddings and stuff like that. And I do a karaoke thing. And we did a 30-minute set. DJ went for 30 minutes. We came back. We did another 30 minutes. And we were out.
Yeah.
And he paid me the same amount that I would get for a 4-hour job. You know?
Wow.
So
yeah.
It really changes. Now, when it comes to arrangements, my partner Daryl Dixon, he writes some crazy stuff because he was a drummer, so he's very syncopated. And I've done a bunch of really difficult sessions. You know, recording sessions for unknown people. And lately, what have you been doing lately, Dave? Lately I've been working, believe it or not, for Tracy Morgan.
Really?
Tracy can sing.
Wow.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Idea.
See, that's why you guys got me here.
Yeah, that's true.
Tracy likes old 70s R&B.
Oh,
Like, it's a thin line between love and hate.
great song.
He
Yeah.
did a version of that, and he likes to copy everything on the record. Something to that, something to that, something to baby. What's the name of this one? I can't think of baby. Man, I can't think of the name of the song.
And I'm back together again.
Back together again. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. He redid that. So he came to me through a recommendation to do strings and horns for all of his stuff. Right? Now, my wife's a violinist. So, I handed the first song off. But I watched what she was doing, but she did the arrangement. Okay, second song came up. She said, "Man, I'm too busy for this. I can't be doing your work."
Get in there, Doc.
Yeah, she said, "Don't worry, you could do this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." It took me 8 times longer to do than she would have done.
Right.
But I did. Song number 1, song number 2, song number 3. I've done in the past 3 years 14 songs for him.
Wow, really? And is this something that he's putting out, or he's just got it in the shelf? He's listening. He just shares it with friends.
Yep, he shares it with friends, and he did it because it's something he enjoys.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Now imagine having enough money to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That's so cool. I had no idea that he even sung.
Me either.
And when they sent me the first song after we did the music, they sent me the finished thing with his vocal. I did not believe it.
Really? Wow.
I said, "Nah, that ain't Tracy." And then at one point he went, "Well, well, well." And I was like, "Oh, snap. That is Tracy." And he said, "Here we go, y'all. Here we go." And then he was talking. So
and you hear him and you hear that voice. That's very distinctive. Yeah. Wow,
So-
that's so cool.
So yeah. So that's one of the things I've been doing since the pandemic. I mean, it is a damn it. Oh no.
Yeah.
I got my little home studio up and running 3 months before we got shut down, right?
Mm.
And it saved my life. I tell you, man, God is good. Because anytime I get in a situation and I start doing something that I really didn't plan on doing, it turns out that I needed to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if I didn't put the studio together and I would have waited till after the pandemic, I would have lost work. So folks started calling me, and because we could do everything at home.
Yeah.
So that kind of saved me. And a similar situation happened when I was touring with Alicia. We're in China, and she decides she's going to downsize her band. So me and one of the keyboard players got sent home. I'm on the plane 13 hours, all upset. And then I got into a peaceful moment and listening to my man upstairs. And he said, "Wait a minute. You prayed about this before you left to go on tour. And you said, 'God, if this is right for me, make it happen.' And I told you, I got your back." So I went on tour. I know this sounds a little crazy, but it's true.
No, absolutely not.
So I'm on the plane, a quiet moment. So he says to me, "Did I tell you Alicia Keys had your back? Or I had your back?"
There you go.
And I was like, "Yeah, you said you." I calmed down. As soon as my plane landed, and this is crazy. I'm riding home in the cab. I get a phone call, and a guy calls me and gives me 10 jobs.
Wow.
He said, "Look, my sax player got ill, and plus I'm getting pissed at him. I fired him. Can you do XYZ?" And I'm in my phone. "Okay, I'll take that date." "All right, yeah, I can do that. I can do 10 dates.
So you're done. Wow.
Okay, it gets better. So I get back into teaching because I only had 18 and a half years in. I had to get to 25. get back into teaching. Come to find out, our friend Christy changed the requirements for retirement. And if my black ass would have came off the road one more year later, I would have missed the window for 25 years retirement. I already missed the age. It was 55, 25.
Right.
Wow.
I caught the last year, which now was 62, 25. The next year would have been 62, 30.
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
I would have gotten another 5 years tacked on to my teaching thing, and I wouldn't have finished. I couldn't have done, I had 18 years in, 19, 20. I couldn't. No.
Oh man.
Another 12 years.
Yeah.
So I thought coming off the road was a bad thing. But you see what I mean?
Turned out to be a blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one door closes, the other one opens, you know?
Yeah, so sometimes when something goes wrong, don't look at it in a negative way, because you might be late for something, but if you would have been on time, a truck would have hit your car. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so I've learned how to roll with it, and I think age has done that for me. So once I got the studio up and we're working and stuff, that's when I got the idea, you know what? It's time for me to do something for myself.
Yeah.
Good for
So we're just can't believe we talk. It's like an hour goes by, and I wanted to talk about your record, and we'll talk about it. I mean, if you have a few minutes, tell me a little bit about, because I know you're doing this, tipping your hat.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you as far as the artist that you chose? Like, what was it? Was it that something that you just knew for a long time, or was it a personal, something spiritual?
Well, what happens is, as you go through your life, certain artists make an imprint, put an imprint in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally was just going to do people that I worked with, you know, tipping my hat to Alicia, to Jennifer. You know, there's so many different people I work for. But when this song started developing, it gave me a Marvin Gaye vibe, and no disrespect for any other Motown artist, but he was my favorite.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, who's better than Marvin Gaye?
You know, I mean, Stevie, come on now. Stevie did his thing.
Yes.
I mean, we can, you know, Ashford and Simpson, we can go through some folk.
Sure.
Yeah. Smokey Robinson.
Yeah, you know, but Marvin did it for me.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, I started asking people, like at the barbershop and all, and a lot of the young generation, they don't know who Marvin Gaye is.
Ugh.
I know. It's terrible.
So I'm thinking that this will help me
Yep.
give them a little history, you know?
Yeah.
And on the gospel thing, we started at Savoy Records. And the gentleman that, Tim Scheider, that was Gary Scheider's younger brother. Gary Scheider was the guy that wore the diaper in the Funkadelics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, his younger brother had a studio, and he recorded chops and recorded most of our first record, and got a good sound for. He knew the horn section really well. We were doing a session for him for a female, and after it was over, he said, "Dave, I think you should do this song on flute." So everybody left, and me and him stayed in the studio, and I laid down all this flute stuff, and that's how that song came about.
Wow.
Now, the third song is going to be a funk song, and a gentleman by the name of J.D. Blair from Tennessee. He's from your area now.
Cool.
J.D. Blair, he wrote the rhythm track, and you know him because he played drums for Shania Twain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he's worked with Victor Wooten, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Look up J.D. Blair, Blair, J.D.
Sure.
Okay. Absolutely.
And he's a devout Christian too, and he
Yeah.
He helped keep me in line.
Oh man.
Those are the first three.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do an Alicia song, which I haven't picked yet, and I'm gonna do a Police or Sting song. One of the
Wow.
Okay.
That's gonna be the first 5.
Wow. Well, we're definitely looking
That's
forward to that.
exciting.
And Doc, I mean, what can I say? Every time you come on, it's like we could just sit here and just hear you talk for like hours. The stories are always great, but they're also like motivational because they have meaning behind them. So they're
Right.
not just stories from the road. They're stories that have a purpose. And like you mentioned, getting those jobs, coming back. And I think it just has to do with the temperament that you have and the viewpoint that, you know what, I got music in my life, I got God in my life, I got family, I'm fine no matter what happens. And then
Right.
you're just gonna get things, so
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it's funny. 10 minutes before I got on this call, I was like, man, what are we gonna talk about? An hour later.
But look, sometimes it's like when you have a gig and you just improvise, and the improvisation is better than anything you could write. Sometimes it just
That's
works
true.
out that way, right?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Sorry I didn't get to answer a lot of your questions, George.
No, I had a great time.
No,
It was
it was great.
fantastic, man.
So you know what that means? That means I'll be back.
we would love to have you on, man. Again,
You'll
absolutely.
be back and black. Can I say that? I don't even know.
Yes.
I don't get canceled.
I'll be okay. Now, once I get close to release time, we
Yeah.
can talk.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah, you absolutely.
back
I was
here.
going to tell you that. Doc, thank you so much. We're going to actually play your track again. We're going to close up the show. Hang out tight real quick, and then we'll be right with you. But thank you so much for being on. Come back again. We love the track. We love the stories and everything, and you're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
My
sir.
pleasure. Thanks, guys, for inviting me.
Got it. Doc.
Wow, unbelievable, huh?
Yeah,
What an inspiring. I mean, he's got he's not only his story is inspiring, but he's just an inspiring person.
he is, and his energy too, and that's what I was talking about. When you have that energy towards life,
Right.
you're just gonna
Exactly.
bring in things. It's just the way
Absolutely.
life works. That's why if you walk around like this, oh man,
Yeah,
it
no.
sucks, man. What do you think you're gonna bring in? You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
this is how it works. So it's a beautiful thing. And so thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna play this track by Doc Watson again, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Wish you were still here today.